Once you attend the timeshare presentation, you're at the resort, you're filling out a survey, and you're waiting for your sales rep. That person is going to come in, they're going to greet you, introduce themselves, they're going to take you into the timeshare sales presentation room, and they're going to sort of tell you, explain to you what to expect during the timeshare presentation. It's called breaking the pact. They're going to tell you that they're going to ask you to make a decision today, not tomorrow, not to think about it. They're going to ask you to make a decision today because they know that most people will agree not to buy anything, regardless as to how good the deal sounds. So they have to break that pact. And the way to do that is to inform you that you don't have to buy anything today, but at the end of the presentation, you tell me yes or you tell me no. And that's the greeting, that's the warm-up, and that's the introduction, the beginning of your timeshare presentation. There's a series of steps that the timeshare sales reps have to go through in order to make a sale. These steps are typically something that comes down from the company. They're going to tell them you must do this, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. And they train them on that every single day. They must go through all those steps. So one of the first steps is once they greet and meet you, they're going to ask you to fill out a survey. It's called the discovery. And that survey is going to ask you everything that they need to know to make a sale. Your name, your address, your occupation, how much you vacation, if you vacation, if you don't vacation, why don't you vacation, which places would you like to visit, which places have you visited in the past that you would like to maybe visit again. They're going to ask you if you own a timeshare or vacation club. They're going to ask you, is it paid for? Do you still have a balance? And also, what are your maintenance fees? So what they're looking for are the hot buttons. They're looking for a way to sell you. And they're going to take that information and use that to put together a presentation, basically that's according to your desires, according to your what we call hot buttons. And that's how the presentation is going to go, according to the information that you give them. So for instance, if you tell them that you own a timeshare, they're going to be very interested in that because if you paid for, later on they're going to try to give you an exchange. In other words, exchange your timeshare for the new timeshare, and I'll talk about that in a new video. But they're going to do everything they can to learn how to sell you. That's the purpose of the discovery. Once they fill out the survey, okay, and discovery, they call it, sometimes they'll leave it on the desk. And the reason they'll leave it on the desk or the table is because they want the manager or the closer to see it so they can determine how they're going to sell you. Typically, they won't take that with them. Sometimes they do, but most often they'll leave it on the table for the manager to look at. They're going to tell you about their program, and their job is to prove or to show you how their program is better than what you're already doing. So one of the primary strategy they use is called a rent versus own. In other words, if you're renting hotel rooms, if you're used to staying in a hotel room, there is a difference between renting a hotel room and owning a suite, and they're going to show you the difference in those different categories in terms of staying in hotels. So the rent versus own, basically they're going to tell you is that it's going to cost you a whole lot more to rent than to own a timeshare. So they're going to take what you're typically paying per night in a hotel, say it's $200 a night. So if you go on vacation for a week, that's $1,400, right? So they're going to take that $1,400 and they're going to ask you, well, how long do you plan on vacation? Well, for 30 years. So that's about $50,000. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the pitch. It's called the rent versus own. Once they tell you about their program, they're going to give you a tour of the resort. So the purpose of this is to get you into the picture. They're going to show you the restaurant if you're not already in a restaurant. They're going to show you the pool. They're going to show you the kids club if you have kids. They're going to make sure you see that. And at the end, they're going to show you the suite. They're going to show you a beautiful suite. 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. They're going to show you the best view. Why? Because they want you to buy today. And they're going to ask you questions like, is this better than what you're typically staying in? I mean, wouldn't you rather stay in a beautiful suite like this than a hotel room? And that's the comparison that they're going to make. And you're going to say, obviously, yeah, this is better. And they're going to tell you, this is cheaper. That's how they sell you. The tour in the studio or the suite is an emotional moment. And they're going to ask you, which do you feel is better? Is there any reason that you'd want to go back to a hotel suite or a hotel room rather than have a beautiful suite like this, especially if it costs less? They're going to ask you, if we can show you how to do something like this a lot better than what you're doing, am I talking to my new owner? Are you going to become an owner today? Would that interest you? They want a yes or no. Not a I think about it, I'll think about it, but a yes or no. And that's all I need. If you say yes, there's a sale. If you say no, their job is to determine, or to identify rather, why you're objecting. Is it fear? Is it you don't have the money? Is it that you don't vacation that often? Their job is to find out what that objection is and to learn how to overcome it. So now that you have come from the suite, or the model, they call it, you're back into the sales room. Sometimes it's very noisy. A lot of times they'll have bells ringing, or they'll do what's called a deletion. In other words, they announce that someone has just purchased, and most often no one has purchased. It's just something they do for show, to make people feel comfortable to purchase. So you're in the sales room, and they're going to show you the numbers. And they're going to show you a very, very, very high number. And you're going to be thinking, there's no way I'm buying this today. That's way too expensive. Anytime price is way up here, the today price is way down here. And they're going to show you how this is still cheaper than what you have been doing over the past 5 years or 10 years, or how long you've been vacationing. They're going to ask you if it's something that you'd like to do today. You're probably going to say no, or we're going to think about it, okay? So, if the liner, or front to back, that's the person who's showing you the tour, giving you the tour, can't do it, they're going to bring in the closer. The closer is responsible for getting the sale, for getting the credit card. That's what I did. I did that for about 15 years. My job was to find out, why did I want to buy today, and what I can do to get them to purchase today, not tomorrow, not next week, not to think about it, but to buy it at this moment right now. Once I show them the price, I do not want to leave the table, typically, because what happens most often is the couple will talk themselves out of it, say we're not going to do it, okay? Typically the timeshare agent or the sales closer is going to stay there on the table until they determine what they're going to do. If they still can't make a decision to purchase, or decide that they don't want to do it, they're going to lower the price. And if that doesn't work, they'll lower the price again, or they'll bring in another closer, okay, and lower the price. And find out, why are these people so reluctant to purchase today? And then I'm going to tell you what happens after that if you still say no. At the end of the 6-hour timeshare presentation that's supposed to be 90 minutes, they've given up, they've gone as low as they possibly can, and they're going to say, we have a developer's representative who's going to ask you about some questions about your experience here. That is another sales pitch. That person is a salesperson. They're called the exit person. They will get you up, make you feel like you're leaving, take you to another location, possibly to another table in the same room, and they're going to start asking you questions about your experience there. And at the end, they're going to ask you, well, why didn't you buy? Okay? So, if you're interested, but you weren't willing to pull the trigger today, they're going to offer you another option. It's called a travel